Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you like the content, hit the subscribe button, leave a like down below. Now that 2K24 is pretty much wrapped up, I mean, we might get a few more updates here and there, maybe a few free things here and there, kind of like being able to unlock Slim Jim Macho Man Randy Savage, which was awesome. I was very happy that they re-put him up and allowed us to get him so easily. It got me thinking for the future of the 2K franchise. We're kind of in no man's land. Like, we're what, three games in on the current gen. We just had the PlayStation 5 Pro launch. I feel like it's time for a big change. And here are some quality of life features I would like to see, not necessarily just in 2K25, but somewhere down the road where the franchise just gets much better and where it needs to be. Alright, so what am I talking about here? Number 1. Cross saves. The ability to share your save across all platforms of the game. Since Xbox and PS5 don't currently have a dedicated handheld yet, this would allow us to use our saves on multiple platforms, such as the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally or whatever heck else of those machines are out there. I don't really keep up with all of them. This would also encourage people to double dip and buy the game more than once, and not have to start over, especially with how much content is in these games. So imagine being able to take your save from, let's say, your universe mode, your my faction, whatever, my rise, GM mode, and just have your save shared between essentially your Xbox and your Steam account, or your PlayStation 5 and your Steam account. I mean, assuming it goes to Nintendo down the line, that would be cool too, to have it on your new Switch. This would be super beneficial just so we don't have to have multiple saves. Like, if you're like me, I bought this game 3 times, and I mostly play it on the PlayStation. I barely touch it on Steam, even though I really wanted to play it on the Steam Deck. I usually use the Steam Deck just for looking at community creations. I'll probably make a wrestler here or there, but since a lot of the created parts are locked behind the My Rise mode, I don't have access to all the parts on the PC version. So I really don't want to have to play through all these modes multiple times in order to unlock everything more than once. So I think having a cross-save feature would really help this game going forward. And like I said, it would encourage double dipping, if you will. So that's the first thing. Now the second thing, and this, I've mentioned this multiple times on this channel because I love making created wrestlers. We really need some sort of system that allows us to transfer our created wrestlers over to the next game. Allow us to bring our creations to the next game along with their stats and like title history. I think that would be super cool. It could detect it on a console level. Like if you have a save from the last game, it can only go back one game, because, you know, if you go back 3 or 4 games, that obviously wouldn't work. But let's say you have 2K23 and you bought 2K24. All your creations would carry over to that game, because essentially most of the stuff's the same, just a few little tweaks here and there. It can automatically remove the parts that got removed from the game. And there you go. You have a base to build off of. You don't have to start from scratch. Because that, adding all your logos, I mean, some of these creations that people make have so much stuff on them, so many little fine details on them. I'm sure they would love this feature to not have to remake everything every single year before you even can play Universe Mode, because you got to set everything up first. Now, number 3, it's in the same vein, and I feel like people are going to be split down the middle on this, but I feel like this is the only way to address the last 2 and everything else I'm going to say in this video, and that is some sort of paid 2K cloud service where it tracks your My Faction progress and cards, your created wrestlers and their stats, your arenas, your championships and their title history, universe mode stats, My GM stats, literally everything. If you've played Pokemon and have the Pokemon app, they have a feature where it pretty much allows you to back up all your Pokemon or transfer all your Pokemon to it. I feel like, and it's like a once a year charge, and I think it's only like 15, 16 bucks. Obviously, 2K would be dealing with a lot more data, so they'd have to charge more. But some sort of like, I don't know, a yearly fee of, let's say $20 to $30 to start, and it saves everything to your 2K account, because we all have 2K accounts in order to access community creations. They could limit on each category to make sure the servers don't get completely overloaded. So let's say for creative wrestlers, you can back up, I don't know, 10 to 15 wrestlers. For championships, 10 to 20, because championships seem like they take less data. Arenas, it would have to be less because, it's a big arena. So let's say 5 to 8 arenas. And with those backups, like I said earlier, comes with the stats. So that would include title history, creative wrestler wins and losses, and championships won. This all could be included in the universe save. So let's say it just backs up your universe save, and anything tied to it, it's all backed up within that save. This entire idea would make 2K tons of extra money if they did this correctly. If they are worried about people keeping old game data too long and clog up the servers, they could just have a time limit of how long your stuff can be on the service without upgrading it to a new game. Let's say 3 to 4 years. So let's say you have a 2K22 save, but you didn't buy 2K23 or 2K24, and you go all the way until, let's say, 2K25. Well, you'd have to, I don't know how that would work, because they'd have to upgrade to each game for it to upgrade to the next game. Something like that, something similar. At least the stats part should be able to be carried over to a curated character slot, and this is not necessarily what they look like, but the fact that their stats are still there, that would be at least a bare minimum, because starting a new universe every single game after you've played, like 20, 30 years of it, like in 2K22, I probably played, I want to say 20 to 30 years of the universe mode, and had tons of title history. I made a ton of arenas, multiple different shows, and all of that is gone now because it's stuck on that game. I can't use it for 2K23, and I can't use it for 2K24. It's part of the reason why I barely touched universe mode in the last 2 games, is because all those stats are gone. So it'd be great if the stats could carry over. So anyway, next up, number 4, different play styles. They could have a classic playstyle that plays like the old SmackDown Here Comes the Pain with only 2 counter buttons. And then they can have the modern playstyle that plays like the current setup we have now with 45 different counter buttons. This would make so many people happy, myself included. And this idea came from Street Fighter, and I want to say Tekken, because, well, I haven't played Tekken, so don't quote me on Tekken, but Street Fighter has a modern controls setting and a classic controls, so you can do all the rotations and up, down, A, B, whatever the heck for Street Fighter, play like we've played for the last 20 plus years. Or they kind of made it like Smash Brothers, where everything's just like a single button press, so you can just press one button to do a Hadouken or a Ryuken or anything like that. They could do the same thing with wrestling. I feel like it wouldn't be that difficult. What I mean by this is have 2 different play styles. It shouldn't be that hard to code in the game because it's just a play style. It's like basically just moving the buttons around and what those actions do. So I really miss just having 2 counter buttons, one for strikes, one for grapples. It gives you that guessing game, and then you press both to counter specials or finishers. I feel like that was the perfect setup for it. I don't know why they ever changed it. I mean, once you've mastered that, every match becomes a countering fest. The new one has, I want to say, like 5 counter buttons. Because circle counters, Irish whip. I'm basing it off of the PlayStation controller. X counters, whatever. What is that? Strike or grapple or whatever? No, O is grapple. Strong strike, and then square, and then triangle also counters stuff. Everything counters something, and it's really, really like annoying playing the guessing game with 4 different buttons. If you play the computer enough, you can learn their tactics and what they go for. Like if they're outside the ring, they always go for an Irish whip, so you just press circle. If they're in the ring and they're kicking you over and over again, you just press square or triangle. It's easy to guess the CPU, but when you're playing against another skilled player, then the whole thing becomes a crapshoot and it's not fun. Anyway, Now, number 5. Now, this is a little out there, but since we're going in the age of 2025, I feel like technology should be a lot farther than it is, especially for video games. Is since we have an image uploader, why not have a 3D object uploader? So what I mean by this is, like, let's say you want to include certain parts for your created arena or championships. Back in WrestleMania, I want to say 18 and 19 on the GameCube, and I'm not sure if they did it in Day of Reckoning 1 and 2 because I barely played those. I played the crap out of WWE WrestleMania 19. I keep saying 2K. They had this option to move objects wherever you want on your wrestlers. So you could have like spinning blades in the arms. You could put like a cool mask wherever you wanted on the face to make it fit perfectly. Hats, everything like that. That feature alone, just with the stuff they have now, would be super cool. Imagine being able to take the in-game horns or ears or hats and angle them or twist them or put them however you want on the wrestler. I think that would be super cool. And let's say if you're using masks and you want the mask to be a little poofier, you can extend the size of the mask. Well, that's the same situation I'm talking about with 3D uploaded objects. Be able to take that object and put it anywhere. Now, obviously, people would abuse this, but they could, for the first game, just limit it to create an arena and create a championship. I feel like how cool it'd be to implement any part you can upload and use it for your created arena. You can make literally any arena that's ever existed. Obviously, there'd be limitations like the size of the object, the detail of the object, and all sorts of stuff, but it'd be a cool addition to add to the game, or addition to add to the game for future installments, like for Create Arena, especially for Create Arena, because I feel Create an Arena is super lackluster, and I don't know, it just feels like you don't have that many options for it, and we keep losing options. Like, you can't tile things anymore on the barricade. Either that or it just broke this year. Like, it wouldn't let me tile my image all the way across the barricade. It would only fill a small portion of it, which very limited what I wanted to make. So yeah, some sort of 3D image uploader would be awesome, or object uploader I think would be really, really cool. Now this is the last thing, and I know this will never happen, but if it did, I feel like the games would do so much better every single year, and it would open 2K to make a lot more money, I think. Now let's get into what I'm about to say. So make every DLC wrestler free and just charge for their outfits, their skins, or the versions of those wrestlers. I feel like this would go a long way with the community. Instead of charging for a season pass, just include all the wrestlers with the purchase of the game, the base game. Since 2K is leaning more towards a live service model anyway, with locking skins in my faction, I feel this makes a lot of sense. And if they want to charge $120 still each year, they could just include the character skins. It would work. It works for every other live service game. Why wouldn't it work for WWE 2K? So for the season pass, instead of it being wrestlers, it could be different versions of those wrestlers. So when a wrestler comes out, if you bought the season pass, you get all the skins that we normally wouldn't get included with those wrestlers. I think that'd be a great way to do it. That way, everybody has a chance to play as all those wrestlers right off the bat, because they're all the base models are all included for free. And then any skins you want, you can either buy them outright, earn them in a card pack in my faction. They really got to work on the pricing of that, because right now it's some of those card packs are ridiculously overpriced. So, I mean, we could get into the territory of, like, I want to say, like, Overwatch, where we have $40 skins and stuff like that. But if the trade-off is that we get the base wrestler for free, and we could still use our community creations to give them alternate attires, I feel like this is a win-win. It keeps the community happy, it keeps the investors happy. I just think just doing it this way just makes too much sense. And besides, if they could try it 1 year, and if it doesn't work out and they lose money, you could always go back to the old way for the next game, because every single year it's the reset button and we start this whole process over again. So these are just some things, quality of life things I would like to see added to the game, not necessarily just for 2K25, but the series as a whole. I feel like if they just keep releasing what they've been releasing each year and getting more and more pushy with the My Faction stuff, I feel like they're going to kill off the franchise. And this franchise has been around since the original SmackDown. It's literally the original SmackDown game on PS1 that's been built off and ripped apart and rebuilt all the way up till to now. If you don't believe me, go look at all the old games, because this is literally the same. Some of the same movements and same parts, creation parts, have been reused since that game. Anyway, thank you for watching. Sound off the comments below, and as always, stay frosty.